guys, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL and welcome back. Today is a follow-up to a video I posted about a month and a half ago where I shared with you how to get yourself out of an artistic rut and how to get yourself into the right headspace to be productive, to avoid those long spells of artistic dryness. And yes, we have a cute little kitten sleeping over here. That's Gimli. But today's a follow-up, and I'm going to do a huge favor today because today I want to take you behind the scenes on how I organize my work. And I'm going to share two apps that have become mandatory for organizing myself and getting myself into the right headspace artistically, because I don't have a whole lot of time to get myself into the right groove. I run a full-time school. I have a full-time YouTube channel. I've got kittens and kids and sweethearts that all need my attention. So when it's time for me to sit down and draw, I need to be well planned. In my opinion, if you aren't organizing yourself this way, then you're doing it wrong. When it comes to being a professional, having a theme, having a concept, organizing those concepts, and having things at the ready when you're ready to sit down and draw, I feel is where you should be investing your energy first before you even pick up your pencil to draw anything. You're going to see how much it hugely helps you stay productive. There's two types of apps, and I have my two personal app recommendations that I'm going to share with you today. These apps, when it comes to artistic productivity and planning, need to have a couple of important criteria. Number one, I like attractive apps that animate nicely and have a nice interface because I'm superficial and I like things that are pretty. Sorry. I'm an artist. I'm not a big fan of programmer art, so sue me. Second is, I like apps that are very highly functional, but not overwhelming with functionality. So apps that require steep learning curves or offer too many bells and whistles or trying to be the jack of all trades and give you everything are apps that I find kill time more than help you preserve time. So for me, it's really about something that's very focused and streamlined, but has a deceptively high amount of functionality to it. Lastly, because this is visual planning, it has to be, well, visual, right? So for me, planning, when it comes to planning my artwork, which is something I separate from planning the rest of my life, I want things that help me to see where my project's going, not just plan it up here, but I have to plan it with my eyes as well. Okay. So the two main apps that I have shortlisted after testing hundreds and hundreds of different apps, and I'm addicted to productivity apps. I'm glued to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. I watch everything he posts all the time, and a lot of these similar channels as well. Is Actions by Moleskine. Moleskine they don't only produce beautiful books for journals and stuff like that, but Moleskine also produce some of the most beautiful and functional and reliable apps, particularly for macOS and iOS, particularly for iOS. If you are a PC user, however, I highly recommend Todoist, which was my main to-do list app for years. It's very functional. It works for Mac and PC, and it's just a powerhouse. So I definitely recommend that one for sure if you're on a PC. I like the Moleskine suite of apps because they're very, very elegant. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to learn. It's beautifully designed and deceptively functional. And the reason why a to-do list is very important can be summarized by one of the quotes by one of my favorite artists, Chuck Jones, who said, "Never underestimate the power of the spontaneous thought." We've got many, many really cool ideas that we spontaneously think up throughout the day, having conversations, watching TV shows, or listening to songs. But these thoughts, especially in today's day and age, yes, you just did see a kitten stretch, are fleeting. These thoughts are fleeting. Like right now, you're not paying attention to a word I'm saying, are you? Because you just realized that there's a cute little kitten over here who's having this nap. Yeah, now I lost my trail of thought too. These thoughts are fleeting. So it's very important that when somebody comes up with an idea, you can very accessibly and very quickly jot it down. So something that you can grab with your phone, your iPad, a notebook, whatever. Jot it down really, really quickly. So here you can see that I have these different categories for the visual ideas. Again, I separate my visual ideas from the rest of my life. I usually use reminders and notes on the iCloud apps for that. They're very, very powerful for that kind of stuff. But in this particular case, I'm just going to go into my art projects folder over here. And you can see that I've got two subcategories. I usually have 3 or 4, but I'm reorganizing things at the moment. And I have a section here for Lovecraft, because I'm very much into dark fantasy and folklore. If you follow my channel, it's not a surprise to you, okay? And you can see here what I've done is I've written down a title of these different Lovecraftian creatures taken directly from YouTube channel descriptions and things like that, or articles or wiki pages. And I've documented out this list of these different creatures. And you get to notice that I've got a little asterisk next to certain ones like the Gugs. You can see there's a little asterisk. That asterisk represents ideas that I feel are visually more, I can visualize them a little bit more easily. Like I can picture drawing them. They're a little bit more intuitive to draw. Some concepts might feel a little bit abstract. Even in Lovecraftian context, some are like celestial bodies. Like how do I draw a celestial body? That can be a bit elusive. So I have the title with a couple of little visual descriptors next to it. So I'm paying very close attention to the visual aspect of the planning. I'm not writing down has a charming personality and is nice with kids, because that can be very difficult to represent artistically. But a bulging throat, scaly backs, double forearms, a vertical opening mouth at the top of his gaping head, blah, blah, blah. That kind of idea. These are things I can picture and draw very quickly. I can visualize them in my head. So I take note of that. Another category I have, for instance, is art talks. So if I go into my art talks section over here, you can see that I've kind of shortlisted a couple of ideas. Some I've already done at this point. And in it, you can see some future, if you have any recommendations for this list, let me know, I'll jot them down. But in it, when it comes to things like art talks or video production and stuff like that, I don't always only write down the title. Sometimes the title, the basic description is good enough, but I'll very often also, let's say if I'm doing a new one here, I just click the little plus button and I'll go live organ transplants. That's a Monty Python joke for any of you who are aware of that. And I hit done, okay? But I might go back into here and I can add a checklist, live organs, transplants, etc. Right? So I can have a little thing here. And importantly, I might leave a link. I might add a link to this, linking to what inspired me in the first place. Maybe I was watching the Monty Python movie and I went, oh, I'd love to do a painting about that, or I'd love to do an art talk about that. It inspired me. The mood of it, the message behind it inspired me. So I might leave a link there so I can revisit that and re-inspire myself. Instead of just looking at a title, I might forget why I wanted to do that topic in the first place. And then I'm good to go. And I've got my thing here. Okay. If I prefer having more of a list like this, you can change the view of it. It's got a very intuitive interface. All of these Moleskine apps are very, very beautifully, elegantly designed as far as that goes. One of the reasons I love them. And it's got all that functionality I need. Nice, straightforward to the point. Although this app is also available, you've got the Moleskine app for visual planning on iPad and iOS. I'm going to take you to the desktop. So this way I'm speaking to both PC users and Mac users because I'm showing you the browser version of this, not exclusively the iOS version of it. Although on iPad, it's pretty much identical to what you're going to see on the desktop. And what you're going to see over here is the web page, the Milanote web page. Milanote works in your browser directly. And when you go into the page, you're just going to get this nice, elegant, very delicately dotted grid on the base, which is actually, it gives you a bit of a snapping functionality. And you can change this to a light theme or a dark theme. It's a very beautiful app. And you've got a bunch of these different icons on the left that represent different functions, different features. Just to give you a quick rundown on how this works, you start generally with a board. Think of a board as the folder. And you can put boards inside boards, which are like folders and subfolders. Okay, it functions exactly like this. Right now it's a blank board, but let's say I want to do something about flowers. I'm going to do a project about flowers and I hit enter. When I hit enter, you're going to notice that it automatically created an icon that best represents, using AI, what that is. And you'd be surprised just how many icons it has available. I've written in hundreds of different titles for different things, and it very often finds an appropriate icon to go with that. It's quite surprising. However, if I want to change the icon, I can go back in here. I can change it to something else, a letter and a number, or I can upload my own image. And you can see over here, I've got my LUCIDPIXUL icon. Okay. From there, you double click and you can go into the subfolder, and basically it's modular. I can just go and grab a note, and I can write a note, and I can keep writing. I can cut. I very often will use this to cut and paste a piece of a script or a paragraph for something as inspiration, like that. I can add a to-do list to it, so I can go do this, and then as soon as I hit enter, it gives me a little to-do list checklist. Do that, do this again, etc. Okay, and it'll ask me if I want to change this into a list. I'm going to say no thanks for now. We're good to go. The next thing you can do is drop a link. So I'll create a new tab, Command T. I'm going to go Lovecraft, oops, I'm on the wrong thing. Lovecraft Wiki. For instance, if I wanted to look up Lovecraft Wiki, I go into here. I can grab this, copy, like that. I can go into here, I hit paste, and I hit enter, and it's going to automatically link me with one of the thumbnail images that go with it. It automatically adds this to it, and I can just click here and it'll take me to that Lovecraft page whenever I want. Another really cool feature that I just discovered recently is if I go back, if I copy any of the text on a hyperlink, it'll automatically hyperlink it directly in here. So if I grab a note, let's say if I grab a note and I do Command V, notice that it automatically hyperlinks as well. So it's a very handy little feature. So if I want to just have a line of text in there that has a hyperlink in it, I just copy it directly from that title and it'll hyperlink it and I can just click on it right away. Very elegant. Now, you notice I have everything in this it's kind of like modular, all over the place type of thing. So one of the ways you can organize this is to create a column. Now, if anybody works in programming, you're very familiar with what a column is. In a column, I can basically drop anything in there. So I can drop this link in there. I can drop here, I can reorganize it and move it. Let's say if I want to move it to the top instead, I can move my to-do list in there, etc. Okay, very, very handy. So there you go, something like that. If I have a wiki thing here, I can title it. So I can go Lovecraft like that, and I can move it over here. If I don't want to accidentally select it, or if I want to scale it, I can always select it and I can scale it out to do something like this, to resize it. If I want to change it to the size that I want, it'll blow up the thumbnail and scale everything accordingly. If I don't want to move it accidentally, then what you want to do is right click and lock position. That way I can't accidentally click and drag, which can happen when you're using your fingers and trying to navigate around your page. It can be frustrating. So just lock it in place. That way you don't have any issues there. Okay. You can add a sketch. So if you have a drawing tablet or your Apple Pencil, you can double click on this little window and do a quick sketch right there to help you to kind of quickly jot down that visual idea you had. You can do that directly on your iPad. You can do it with, I do it with my Cintiq or your drawing tablet. If you're working on an Intuos, you can do that directly on your desktop like that. You can add color codes. So let's say if you have something, let's say if I want to sample something, I can double click on this little color hex like this, and I can click on this little color swatch, show colors, and here I want to sample a color directly. I want to grab that yellow, boop, and you're going to notice it actually updates you with the name of that color. I can add audio. If I want a little audio note in there, I can go into grab a map directly off of Google Maps. I can add an image, and actually, depending on the subject, since I titled this flowers, it automatically knows to dip into a bank of flower images, and I can just drop it in here. I can go and browse online for my own image references. What I love about this app is that I can take everything and pile it into a single place. I think probably one of my favorite functionalities however, is let's go into YouTube over here, and I'll go to my page for copyright purposes. There we go. You can get a little hint on some of the stuff I've been listening to recently. There you go. And here's a video I just posted, a little short that I posted for, actually, no, I'm going to post my most recent art talk. And here's the dimensional shambler, one of the Lovecraft creatures that I was working on. And I go into here, I'm going to grab a link, drag and drop it, paste the link, and it automatically will load the thumbnail. If I want to scale this thumbnail up, you have to select it first. Important, something I didn't figure out right away. You select it first, and then you can scale it easily. It's got a little link underneath, and here's my video. But the thing, I think one of the biggest selling points to this app for me when it comes to visual planning is I use YouTube videos and research a lot of stuff on YouTube for my art videos. I don't like having to leave the app every single time I'm referencing a video. Here, I can play the video directly from the app. it's got yes written all over it. Yes, Gimli. Gimli's happy too. He's restless because he's happy. Okay. So you can see, this is just giving you a quick overview of it. If I wanted to link different things together, let's say if I want to say, okay, this color is associated to this video, I can just connect them. Take this and just link it like that. Now I can click and drag this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I can click and drag one thing, close. Oh, it's playing from here because I can hear it on my speakers. So I can just click this and I can drag it, and you're going to see that arrow is following it. I can click on the arrow. I can curve it if I wanted to go around something. I can add a little label to this thing over here, and I can call it LUCIDPIXUL. There we go. I can change the color of this label if I want to be a little bit more aesthetic about it, and I can turn it to something orange. I generally tend to use orange a lot for my stuff. I can make this, I can click on it and make it a dotted line. Oops. So I can click on it and make it a dotted line if I prefer. I can change the aesthetics of this, and I can move it around. So I can just grab this and move it over. And when I'm put it in a place I like, right click on it, lock position. Now I won't accidentally select it. And I can do a Control A or a Command A, and I can just select everything, and I can move everything simultaneously. And if you need, when your board starts to build and you've got lots and lots of different elements, you can just do zoom out, and it'll zoom out and you'll see the entire project, and you can zoom back in and keep adding to it. So this is just giving you a quick overview. Let me show you a behind the scenes on projects that I've worked a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to the main page. I'm going to delete this one for now because we don't need this anymore. And I'm going to go into my personal board, and you're going to see that I've got 3 boards that I've created here. Okay. So I've got art and planning, interior design, and YouTube videos. We're going to go into art and planning. And here, this is kind of like my main page that I've organized. I've got a link that an artist wanted to share with me. This particular artist that Necro, one of my students had recommended, so I put that there for reference. I've got my current work in progress, which is my Lovecraftian creature, the dimensional shambler, a couple of color ideas and a checklist of things that I needed to get done with a little bit of an arrow to let me know what's what. And then I've got these subcategories over here, folklore and literature. And the reason being is these are my 2 main sources of artistic inspiration very often. And you can see that I've got topics that I've already researched quite a bit. Slavic, Vietnamese, one of my students from Vietnam helped me with this. Greek, one of my students from Greece always sends me reference images and stuff like that. Indigenous, Polish, Canadian, Korean, etc., you name it. And then I've got some authors. So J.P. Lovecraft, Christie Golden, J.R. Martin, J.R. Tolkien, George R. R. Martin, etc. Some of these, by the way, are placeholders. I have never researched Ursula Le Guin before, but in researching her, she's apparently a very, very well-known dark fantasy author. So I put that as a placeholder knowing I'm going to want to research that later on. So that's going to end up being inhabited by something. But for the meantime, this is what we've got. So to go into one of my boards over here, if we go into, for instance, Slavic, okay, you can see how I've organized my pages. So I've got here, if we zoom in just so you can see it, here is a PDF that one of my students from Poland, Weronika Cześć, if you're listening to me, she's a sweetheart. She's my confidant as far as Polish folklore is concerned. And Elena Zografu from Greece, she's always sending me beautiful pictures and references from Greece as well. So Sarapao to you as well. I just told her I loved her, I believe. And I have got those references on the side. This is to be researched. Here's a wiki page, so I can go straight to the, let me see if I can pronounce that, Regina Castle, the wiki page. Here's a photograph, the PDF. I can go straight into her PDF that she shared with me, and I can scroll through it and check it out right here. And here, I've got a video from Slavic Folklore, a YouTube channel where they talk about different Slavic folklore. And again, I can play it directly in here. I can reference it, and I don't have to leave this YouTube. I don't have to leave this page, and I can go straight into here, create a board, have a visual reference, and a checklist of the visual criteria that I want, those little visual criteria checklists I want to be able to knock off when I'm doing the painting. So it's giving me a little bit of a visual and a planning template for what I'm going to research moving forward. And when I jump into a project, I end up bringing more and more image references into here to plan it out. And you can see I've even subcategorized these into 2 different folklore types, wilderness and household spirits, which are detailed in this video as well. And then Once I've got the idea planned and I've got it all finished and I finished the illustration, here's a couple of examples of paintings that I've finished: the Rusalka, Baba Yaga, Caché the Deathless, etc. Okay, so this is just one of these boards. I'll show you one more. If we go back into Lovecraft, there we go into Lovecraft, you're going to see I have worked on this quite a little bit more. Again, same basic template. I've got my video reference here that I can dig into, 44 Lovecraftian monsters explored, all of these different characters with a little bit of a thumbnail to give me a visual idea, and some written criteria, and some extra visual references that I grab whenever I need them. You're also going to notice that some of these columns that I've selected, so for instance, like the dimensional shambler, which I'm working on right now, is tagged in orange. And the easy way to tag it is just to right click and choose a tag color like that. I use orange for aesthetic purposes. Okay. And what that tag basically, it represents is images, again, just like in my to-do list, that I feel would be easier, more intuitive with my particular style to draw. They kind of fit my brand a little bit better. So I mark those down as the first ones to go and grab if I'm desperate for a quick idea and I need something really, really fast. In the end, I've got all of the visual planning I need. So when it's time for me to sit down and draw, as I mentioned in my earlier video, I turn on VaatiVidya, I put on my headphones, I open up Pinterest for my image references, I go into my Milanote and I grab an idea from there and I start to draw it. And if I need any kind of inspiration, I'll listen to the video while I'm painting, and all of that is done directly in this app. And whenever I get a new spontaneous idea, I jump straight into actions and I take it down really, really quick. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully this will help you find a little bit more organization in your own artistic process. And I want to extend a huge thank you to Milanote for just being so incredibly supportive to me as a content creator, and to thank them for producing an app that I think is, in my opinion, essential for any artist out there. If you haven't explored it yet, I can't recommend it enough. Remember, this is my recommendation. I'm going out of my way to tell you this. This is not, I haven't been told to recommend this. I reached out to Milanote myself. Capiche? So with that said, I love you all with all my heart, and happy painting. Take care.